Hello! So today I'm showing the painting process of painting my Oma as a queen. I don't really remember how I came up with this idea, I just thought it would be fun one day and I talked to my aunt, she sent me some photos, so here we are. Anyway, so that was like in December. I decided I wanted to try this and I sketched out some ideas. So these are the sketches I did in pen and pencil. Yeah. So then I decided to try and paint it this month, and I think it went okay. It was kind of difficult because portraits are definitely not something I'm great at, so I need to practice it. But anyway, I started this painting with a sketch again. I did the background in red because I thought it would look like a red curtain, and that would be a cool background, a backdrop. So yeah, and I thought it'd also look good with the jewels that I painted on her. So the background on this sketch I thought turned out pretty good, but it was also difficult to actually blend the colors out on the actual canvas. I don't know why I had trouble doing that, but eventually I fixed it. I think it turned out okay. After the background, I went and I did the sketch for how I thought the color should look on her dress and the portrait. And it's funny because it looks like a blurred version of how the painting actually turned out. Again, I've never really painted portraits that many times before, or I don't know, so this is kind of like interesting to figure out how to get the colors I wanted and to make it look recognizable. Something I thought would be fun to do is to make some cookies from my childhood. I know they were my sister's favorite growing up. They're called Pfeffernüsse, which I guess they're my Oma's favorite too, which is cool. But I decided I'd try and make that because this painting reminded me of them, and I was like, those would be good. So I'll show you the process of making those, and if you want a short history lesson, from what I could tell, I think that the Pfeffernüsse come kind of from the Peppernoten, which were invented in the 16th century, I think. This was when the Netherlands had more access to the spices, because at first it was Spain that had a monopoly on spices and the rest of Europe couldn't get it as easily, but eventually they opened up a trade route and they got more spices. So once they became cheaper in Europe, people started experimenting with a bunch of spices and making different things, and one of the products was peppernoten. And In the 18th century, Johann Fleischmann, I can't really pronounce the name, but yeah, 1753, he invented the original recipe for Pfeffernüsse, I think, and then there were some other German adaptations of the cookie, and yeah, so I grew up with one of the German variations. There's quite a few, again, because there's so many spices that were made available. People just kept experimenting with them, and yeah, so Pfeffernüsse became like pretty synonymous with a tradition they had in December. So on December 5th, you'd put your shoes, like, I don't know if you put them by the window, that's what we did when I was younger. And then on December 6th, the kids get to go to where they put their shoes, and the shoes will be filled with like candy or treats. And I remember that. I got like Hello Panda in one of my shoes one year, and that was really good. But anyway, so it's just a fun celebration. It's called like the Feast of St. Nicholas. It's also celebrated in the Netherlands and other European countries like Belgium but like a day earlier. So that's basically celebrating the arrival of St. Nicholas in that country, which is cool. We haven't celebrated it recently, but I do remember that when I was younger. And yeah, you may be wondering why I'm making a Christmas cookie, because Pfeffernüsse is usually available from October to December. But one of the reasons I'm making it later, kind of, is because we didn't really get to see my Oma growing up unless it was like summer. So that's when we would get the cookies, and my sister would take them because they're her favorite. But yeah, so I made two different batches. One's gluten-free, which I've never done before. Well, I've never made Pfeffernüsse before, but I made one gluten-free because my sister can't have gluten. So it's funny because one's like cracked and kind of small. That's the gluten-free one, and the gluten ones have like pretty smooth top, and they're way easier to glaze. So I was happy with how they came out. The Pfeffernüsse are just like the ones that I grew up with, and it's always hard to find, like, you can get them in stores, especially in Europe obviously, but it was hard for us to find them in stores growing up because we had like Russian stores or whatever, but those ended up being more like a shortbread maybe. They just weren't the same, and then sometimes my Oma would send some from where she lives, but I think one time we opened them and it ended up tasting like perfume. I don't know why, but yeah, these ones ended up tasting just like the ones I remember when I was really young. Back to the painting, I painted her face and the crown and jewels because those were some of the things that made me the most nervous. I did end up going back and repainting her hair because I didn't think it had enough contrast with the tone or the value of the red background. And I like how that ended up actually, so. I don't know why, I was really nervous doing this painting. I guess because I had like some sort of idea of what I wanted it to look like in my head, but it was hard to like replicate that. I'll definitely need more practice for sure, but I do think this was a fun project. And yeah, so this is, at least right now, this is the finished painting. If I see something that I don't like about it, I'll probably change it later, but it should be dry or ready to varnish by April, so then I'll decide if I want to add or change anything. I think it turned out pretty good. I mean, I didn't spend like too much time on it. I could have put like a couple months of work into it. This is only like maybe a week of painting, so I have learned a few things of what I want to do when painting portraits in the future, so that's good. But yeah, I like how the project turned out, I think, and I hope the fam likes it, you guys. Yeah, so I'll probably find things I want to change about it in a couple months, or just varnish it, and then, I don't know, probably send it to my grandparents. But yeah, thanks for coming on this journey with me. We'll see. I have a painting idea that I want to do this month maybe, but we'll see. Next month for sure I'm working on a big project, so stay tuned for that. Anyway, have a nice day, and hopefully I can see you guys in the next project I do. Yeah.